Hi, my name's Andrea Brown, and in this video I'll be talking about the Kemp Instructional Design Model. This model evolved from the ideas published by Gerald Kemp in 1971 in a book called Instructional Design, a Plan for Unit and Course Development. The model was first articulated in a 1994 book called Designing Effective Instruction by Morrison, Ross, and Kemp. This book is now in its 7th edition, most recently published in 2013. A fourth author was added in recent editions, Howard Kalman, as well as ideas for technology-based instructional design. The Kemp model is known for its 9 interdependent core elements, but what's unique about this model is its flexibility, in that the elements can be done in any order or skipped altogether if something doesn't apply to your situation. The reason the model is shaped like an oval is to represent this flexibility and interdependence. It's not a rigid linear order. Additionally, you've got outer rings that represent ongoing considerations throughout the instructional design process, such as revision, formative evaluation, summative evaluation, planning, and project management. In industry, support services for instructional design might be something like a graphic designer, but in a K-12 situation, those support services might be something like specialist teachers, such as a gifted lead teacher or a special ed teacher. So let's take a deeper look at the 9 steps of the Kemp model. The first step is instructional problems. You need to identify the performance problem of the client. In this case, the client is not your student. It's your boss. It's the principal, or the superintendent, or the school board, or maybe that end-of-course test. What is it that that person or test wants your students to know and be able to do? The next step is to know your learner. At the beginning of the course, that might mean looking at student data or doing an interest inventory to get to know your students. In the middle of the year, this becomes much easier as you already know your students, what they like, and what strategies work for them. Third is task analysis. Determine what knowledge and procedures to include in instruction to help the learner master the objectives. Fourth is instructional objectives. You need to specify exactly what the learner must master in order to guide instructional design and assessment. Fifth is content sequencing. Think about the order in which to present different materials. Sixth is instructional strategies. This is the creative step. How are you going to present your content? Seventh is design the message. Here, you're arranging your words and images into the message you want to present. This can include selecting graphics, text, and typographical elements. Eighth is development of the instruction. Put all of these pieces together from your instructional strategies, your sequencing, and your message to produce the instructional materials. Ninth is the evaluation instruments. How are you going to assess learning? Let's look at 2 studies on the Kemp model. First, in this 2015 study from Obisova, the Kemp model was applied to design instruction for nursing students. First, the instructional problem was identified. Students needed knowledge, skills, and abilities for effective patient care and blood transfusion therapy. Next, the learner characteristics. The students are associate degree seeking adult nursing students. Third is instructional objectives. Students will be able to determine the appropriate type of blood for any patient situation and safely administer basic blood components. Next is task analysis. The details are quite technical here, so I'm just going to say it's important to analyze the task in order to narrow down objectives and eliminate extraneous information. In this case, the nurses don't need to know everything about blood, just the specific aspects related to the job they're being trained for. The next 4 steps really blend together. For sequencing, students will attend an interactive lecture for background information and then complete skills labs working from general to specific knowledge. For instructional strategies, students will watch an interactive video on blood transfusion in order to form a mental image of the procedures involved in the skill. For designing the message, the instructor will demonstrate the skill following the lectures, and then learners will practice under supervision. For evaluation, formative assessment and feedback will be ongoing throughout the course, with the final summative assessment being a performance assessment checklist. In the 2000 study from Acapulco, the Kemp model was compared to the Dick and Carey model, and several differences were noted. First, the Kemp model is circular, whereas the Dick and Carey model is linear. For Kemp, the steps can be taken in any order. The 9 elements are interdependent. Next, in the Kemp model, instructional design is considered from the learner's perspective, and it's a good application of the systems approach. The instructional design process is presented as a continuous cycle. Lastly, with the outer circles, planning, support services, and so on, the Kemp model emphasizes how to manage the instructional design process. When I plan instruction, I always start with my learning objectives. The instructional problem is to get students to novice high proficiency in Spanish, and the instructional objectives are the specific I can statements you see here. I can statements are also related to task analysis, as I use them to narrow down exactly what it is I need my students to learn and to eliminate extraneous tasks and content. For learner characteristics, I spend a lot of time at the beginning of the semester getting to know my students by looking at data, taking interest inventories, and just interacting with them in class. This allows me to choose learning activities that best suit their personalities and learning styles. For content sequencing, I look at the I can statements and number them out in the order I want to teach them. Instructional strategies, designing a message, and instructional delivery are intertwined in my daily lesson plans. Specific instructional strategies for this unit include introducing vocabulary with comprehensible input and visual aids to support comprehension. Lastly, evaluation is also closely related to my instruction, as students are evaluated in the same ways they practiced in class, namely on using the target structures in writing and speaking tasks and demonstrating comprehension of reading and listening passages. For more information about the Kemp Design model, check out the following resources.